Hey there my fellow Indians, welcome to News Hamster. Hashtag Bengaluru rains has been bringing quite a storm on Twitter where people are sharing their horrible experiences with traffic jams and children going to schools in tractors. If you go back in time, probably 2 or 3 decades ago, was Bengaluru like this? Was Bengaluru in the current situation that it is right now? And what happened to this city which was once upon a time called as a pensioner's paradise in the garden city, which slowly went on to become the Silicon Valley of India and now the traffic hub and the hub for urban flooding? How did all this happen? How did we end up here? All this I am going to tell you in this video, so stay tuned with me until the video ends and don't forget to subscribe to News Hamster if you haven't already. If you go back in time in about 1900s, Bangalore was one of the most important establishments for the British. It was a garrison town and the Britishers set up their cantonment here. The cantonment railway station in the heartland of the city is a testimony of the fact that Britishers were trying to build this city in their own manner. Names like Cunningham Road, Coles Road, Victoria Hospital, Cubbon Park are all testimony that we have been a very important part of the British Empire. But as time progressed, India witnessed a good amount of development and Tatas played a very crucial role in it. Like we thank the Tatas for many of the developmental activities in India, for Bengaluru also we have to minutely thank the Tatas. Jamshedji Tata, one of the pioneers of the Tata Group, wanted to establish a world-class university in India. He had met Swami Vivekananda coincidentally and they both had a conversation that the youngsters of the country are shifting to different countries to get a good education. And we being one of the richest nations in the world, why can't we establish our own university, the top-class university that can produce best of the best kind of minds in the country? After this conversation with Swami Vivekananda, Tata went on to search for an important place where he could start this university. He approached the British with the idea of starting a world-class university in India. The Governor-General of that time, Lord Curzon, was not very happy with the idea, but he could not do much about it. As a result, he called one of the important scientists from UK to survey which of the following states in India or regions in India can be chosen to build this world-class university. And that guy suggested the name of Namma Uru, Bengaluru. With that came the World-Class University of India, as we all call it, the Indian Institute of Science or the Tata Institute. The Tata Institute came into being by 1909. When he chose the place for Bengaluru, Jamshedji Tata knew for a fact that he could not alone fund it, he could not alone establish it. As a result, Krishnaraj Wadiyar IV, the ruler of the Wadiyar dynasty, contributed a lot of money. At the same time, Mir Osman Ali Khan, the Nizam of Hyderabad, also contributed good amount of money for the construction of the Tata Institute. Even before the completion of the institute, Jamshedji Tata died, he could not see it, but today, if he were to be alive, he would be very happy that we have IISc, a dream that he fulfilled. While we talk about the development of Bengaluru city, we miss out on a few names. One of those names was Walchand Hirachand. He was a very important businessman and one of the most successful ones in fact. After trying his hands in different industries, he wanted to start his own aircraft factory in India. For that, he chose Bengaluru. And this went on to become the HAL or the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. In the 1940s, when the World War II broke out, Bengaluru became the manufacturing hub for aircrafts and we were the primary suppliers of aircrafts to the British Empire. By the time we became independent in 1947, Bengaluru had some important manufacturing units like the HAL, the BEL, the HMD, so on and so forth. Bengaluru was chosen for this position because it was so strategically located, we could not be attacked by any other nation or we were not prone to any kind of natural disasters. And by the time we reached 1969, we also had the establishment of ISRO or the Indian Space Research Organization, whose office is located in Sanjay Nagar today as well. Again, another guy who we have to speak about is Mr. RAMAKRISHNA BALIGA. RAMAKRISHNA BALIGA came all the way from Mangaluru, got his education in Indian Institute of Science and then further went on to US to get his higher education. But once he came back from the US, he joined one of the most important manufacturing units of the government, that is the Bharat Electronics Limited or the BEL, which had set up its manufacturing unit in Bengaluru city. The problem here was the BEL was manufacturing some important government assignments and they had some important government secrets that they had to keep. And the employees could not travel all the way from their homes to BEL carrying these important government secrets in their briefcases because at that time we did not have computers, neither did we have any kind of softwares where we could store our information systems. As a result, RAMAKRISHNA BALIGA thought of building a residential complex or a residential society which would house about 1,400 homes and all of these people working in BEL could live in those homes and probably those surrounding the area could also live in those homes. This project was so successful that the company wanted RAMAKRISHNA BALIGA to follow up with another project. RAMAKRISHNA BALIGA approached the then CM Devaraj Aras, who encouraged him to build another important city where all the tech, or you could say IT companies or software companies, could be located in one single place. This, as we all know today, is the electronic city. Ramakrishna BALIGA was made the chairman of KIONIX, or the Karnataka State Electronics Development Corporation. This was the first of a kind city in India, and many important industries, many important technological giants like the General Electronics and Texas Instruments set up their factories in Bengaluru city. Have a look at this image. It's an iconic romantic image where the satellite communication for a giant like Texas Instruments is coming on a bullock cart in Bengaluru city. This was probably the beginning of how Bengaluru went on to step into the idea of becoming the IT hub or the Silicon Valley of India. There was another guy who we cannot miss talking about, that is Narayana Murthy. Now this guy was not an ISC graduate but had a lot of ideas of revolutionizing the computer systems in India. He started his startup, the first ever probably, called as Softronics. Now this startup wanted to revolutionize the computer setting, but we are talking about the 1970s or the 1978. At this point in time, we did not have imports, and the government was not very happy with the idea of importing electronic components from a different country. Since his startup flopped, Narayana Murthy started to work in a software company where he met a group of people that will go on to become the founding team of the bellwether of IT industry in the world, that is the INFOSYS. Well, after these guys started INFOSYS, they could not possibly import anything from the different countries or US or UK. They had to go to those countries. So Narayana Murthy and his team went to US. They went on to meet different people, try to have a client base in US, but none of them approved it except one. That company, as we all know, is the Databasics. Now with the help of Databasics, they came back, they set up the office of INFOSYS, and they went on to become one of the biggest, or you could say one of the best IT companies in India. Following INFOSYS, we saw a lot of people who got jobs, who got trained in this sector, and this was very important for a region like South India, and of course for a country like India. In the 1990s, India witnessed the LPG era, which is called as the liberalization, privatization, globalization. This was a boon for the IT industry. INFOSYS started to import a lot of instruments, started to have bigger clients, and expanded their base across the world. With INFOSYS also came companies like WIPRO and TCS that established biggest of the biggest technological companies in India and started to employ a lot of people, and this is what you call as the IT boom that India witnessed. Now, if your parents have told you that their parents forced them, if your uncles have told you their parents forced them to take up an IT job, it's because of this IT boom, because the people of India felt like there's nothing bigger, there could be nothing better than the IT boom, because computers were now becoming common, and Bengaluru became the place that could supply cheap labor and good skilled labor at the same time. In the 1990s, this IT sector's valuation about 70 crores, but in 1996, this IT sector was valued about 3,000 crore rupees, and this became one of the biggest reasons why service sector became a major contributor to the Indian economy. This also contributed to the growth of a lot of people coming down from different parts of the country to Bengaluru, starting their own jobs, starting their own careers in the IT industry, trying to get educated, trying to get a government job, at least having a startup of their own, so that they felt that Bengaluru could be a place where they could start, they could get help, they could get ideas, so on and so forth, because electronic city was one of a kind. This also gave rise to what you call as the middle class, the upper middle class, that began to have their own homes, their own ideas, their own struggles, and of course with this came internet. Everybody started to have access to the internet. Cyber cafes opened, computers became a normal phenomenon. In 1999, there came a problem. This was perhaps one of the biggest problems the IT industry has actually experienced, the Y2K bug. The century ended, it was 1999, everybody moved into the 2000, but the computers were not ready for this, because the computers were not programmed to take 000, 2000 as a part of their dates. Many feared that this will lead to computers crashing, and there was no solution for this except to build for a custom software that was amounting to about $308 million for the US. And there came Bengaluru to their rescue. Bengaluru provided a place where all of this could be solved. This software could be manufactured. While US was working on their normal problems, Bengaluru was helping them to provide a solution to this problem. This perhaps gave Bengaluru the place to become an outsourcing area for all these global problems that we're experiencing. Now it was time for Europe also to enter India and to get its problems outsourced, its solutions outsourced from Bengaluru city. In 1999, S.M. Krishna became the CM of Karnataka. We cannot discard the importance of this man because he helped a lot in development of the digitization of the area. He developed the Bhumi scheme, which helped to digitize land records and to understand where what was happening, how Bengaluru was progressing quickly. And the Hebbal flyover, which is perhaps the longest flyover in the city, was built in the reign of S.M. Krishna. After the 2000s, we could not stop the growth of the city. It was immense. It became the startup hub. People from all over the country just flocked to get a good job, to better standard of living, and all of that Bangalore provided. Apart from that, of course, Bangalore provided the best of the best weather that you could ever find. Gardens that were there slowly coming on the decline, heritage, bookshops, cafes, hotels, everything was set. It was a stage set for all of the people to just come and start a living out of the city. It was soon the neighborhoods, the houses became offices. It was soon the farms became residential IT parks. It was soon that lakes witnessed building of huge offices, huge towers on their basins. High-rise buildings and areas began to flourish, and today if you want to buy a house in the center of the city, you might have to sell your kidneys, or I don't know. So this is how Bengaluru became the IT hub of India. All of these people, though they had plans of contributing to make it a better city, they did not have any plans of making it more worse. Because if you look at today, Bengaluru is the most congested city in India officially. Bengaluru is the most expensive city to live in India, one of the most expensive cities, and of course one of the most populated and one of the most important cities that contributes to the pollution. If you look at the groundwater level, we are soon going to reach out zero groundwater levels on the lines of Chennai, and our lakes are getting encroached like no other lakes in any other city. So it's high time that we take cognizance of this fact, the government takes cognizance of this fact, and they try to solve this particular problem by avoiding traffic congestions and working on the sewage systems and the Rajakaluways that are there in the city. Many experts are of the opinion that we have to stop the development now. We cannot give place for any more development or flyovers or high-rise buildings. We have to move away a little bit on the outskirts of the city, where we could provide these solutions to these people, so that the other outskirts of the city like Devanhalli and other places like Rajanukunte all get developed in the right spirit. Kempegowda built 4 watchtowers in the city. He believed that the city will not grow out of these watchtowers, one in Lalbagh, one in Mekri Circle, one in Alsur, and one near the Bande Mahakali temple located in South Bangalore. But today the city has grown bigger and wider, and all of these aspects have been outgrown. So we have nobody to blame. We have nobody to blame. We cannot tell people came from out of the city and flocked to our city. Yes, everybody needs a development. Everybody needs better standard of living. Everybody looks at urban mobility, but the authorities have to take the right kind of cognizance. You cannot allow the lakes to be encroached. You cannot allow roads to be shortened, parkings to be allowed, bigger buildings, and everything to come right in the middle of the city, where we are suffering bigger and bigger problems. We are becoming a hub of urban flooding. We would see this phenomena in cities like Mumbai and Hyderabad. We are also becoming a victim to that. So it's high time that people also take cognizance of their, you could say, the carbon footprint, and the urban development bodies and the ministries take cognizance of how we can control this burgeoning development in the city. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit the subscribe button, you hit the like button, and of course share this video with all those people who are wanting to come to Bangalore, or probably feel that Bangalore is so good and Bangalore is so bad, so much better. Tell them the reality of the city. Thank you so much.